and that is a shooting that occurred in Boston, specifically at Chick-fil-A. I believe it was Copley Plaza where this shooting took place. So to set this up here, and I just want to make sure that we have all the information correct, Boston police have identified the individual who was shot and killed. Now, he was the perpetrator as Lamarck Jaramillo. 32 years of age with a last known address in the city's Roslindale section. So this guy goes on what I think he wanted to have as a knife rampage. Armed with a knife, chases two individuals into a Chick-fil-A. Inside the Chick-fil-A, there is an off-duty police officer. So the off-duty police officer challenges this guy. This guy, pro tip, when a police officer draws a gun and challenges you to drop whatever weapon you have in your hand, it's generally a good idea to comply. That's the quickest way to take the room temperature challenge, but I digress. So Jaramillo decides he's not going to heed the warning that the police officer is giving him. And the police officer does exactly what the police officer was trained to do, which was to drop the perp like third period French. And he did that. Well, some interesting comments coming out from Boston Police Commissioner Cox and also Boston Mayor Wu. What I want to do is to just pull up Boston, I think this is a Fox News affiliate, Channel 25 out of Boston. I want to, actually, no, I think we have not the Fox 25 clip, but we have the NBC 10 clip that's queued up. So we're going to play cut one of this now.
In that breaking news we've been following all evening, an off-duty police officer shot and killed an armed man at a Chick-fil-A. This was in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood earlier. The shooting sparking an active scene on Boylston Street with several police cruisers responding. You can see all of them right there. At this hour, we're learning new details about the moments before the deadly shooting. Good evening, I'm Darren Botello. Tonight, authorities updating the public on their investigation. Our Malcolm Johnson joins us live right now from Boylston with the latest. And Malcolm, what can you tell us at this point?
Darren, Suffolk County District Attorney Joseph Hayden described this as a chaotic scene, and this is why. Imagine being inside of this Boylston Street Chick-fil-A earlier today, closer to 5 o'clock, and you see two people run inside, and behind them, a man with a knife trying to stab them. That's according to Boston police. Well, that's what a number of people inside the restaurant saw, including an off-duty officer who pulled out his gun.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. That's all I can say, really.
Disbelief on Boylston Street after an officer-involved shooting inside Chick-fil-A Saturday night left one man dead.
More details. There was an officer involved.
I've lived here 30 years, and I don't know anything like that happening before.
Boston police investigating inside the restaurant after they say an off-duty officer was inside when two young people ran in, being chased by a man with a knife, allegedly trying to stab them. The officer reportedly identified himself as police and told the suspect to drop the weapon.
The individual did not comply. The officer discharged his weapon to stop the threat, and the individual was struck.
The suspect died from the shooting.
This is a pretty tragic incident. We don't look for loss of life, so our condolences go to the individual who was killed tonight.
Locals commending Boston police.
I think the Boston police are extremely well trained and disciplined with how to deal with distraught individuals and situations that could escalate.
Police
my condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. It's the obligatory response to offer up when there really isn't anything else to say. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims. Our thoughts and prayers are with, our thoughts and prayers are with. Okay. That being said, you're offering the condolences to an individual who made a conscious decision to engage in aggressive, deadly behavior with a deadly weapon. Why are you offering condolences to an individual who, and I can't say this for certain because I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be doing talk media. It is reasonable to assume that this individual, given the opportunity, would have utilized that knife. And I don't know how big the knife was, but I can tell you, as a subject matter expert and recognized court expert witness in the use of force and also in active shooter response and mass casualty training for law enforcement, both on a local, state, and federal level, I've seen studies, I have participated in clinical studies, and we have looked at the science. I know liberals love to talk about the science, so we can talk about the science, about a knife wound. Knives are incredibly deadly. In fact, you're more likely to die from a knife wound being stabbed than you are from being shot, but I digress. You can bleed out from a knife wound to your neck in under 30 seconds. Unconscious in 30 seconds, well on your way to hypovolemic and hemorrhagic shock. Okay? Free Google if you want to look what those terms mean. The reason why I'm being snarky and sarcastic about this is because this is the type of mentality, the mental crisis of the progressive left that is so unbelievably infuriating. This individual chose a course of action for whatever reason. So some people say, well, maybe he's mentally ill. Okay. Maybe this is a person who's on drugs. Okay. Well, pro tip, don't use drugs. And then maybe you won't go into, drug-crazed, homicidal mania in the middle of a heavily populated area. This individual made a choice to arm himself. This individual made a choice to go after people who, by the way, courtesy of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the majority of these people are unarmed, courtesy of the ridiculous gun laws that exist as a result of people like Maura Healey and other people who believe that private citizens don't have the right to keep and bear arms for the purposes of personal protection. For stopping people exactly like Lamarck Jaramillo, who again made a conscious decision to arm himself with a knife, go into a heavily populated area, the majority of whom are unarmed, and engage in aggressive, deadly behavior. And I'm quite convinced that if the off-duty police officer had not been present at that scene, there would have been a body count. It just wouldn't have been the attacker. It would have been innocent people who were in that Chick-fil-A to get, ostensibly, food. And they have to deal with this. But to have the mayor come out and to have the police commissioner for the city of Boston offering condolences. Listen, everybody knows police are not looking to shoot and kill people. No police officer starts his or her shift, or federal agent or sheriff's deputy or constable or state trooper, starts their shift with the intention of killing somebody. And by the way, law enforcement does not use deadly force for the purposes of killing. Deadly force is used to stop or incapacitate a threat. Nobody in their right mind would use a firearm with the intention of killing a person. That, by the way, is the mens rea, the guilty mind or the intent necessary to prove a first-degree murder case. There's intent. There is no intent to deprive a person of their life, at least not by the police, at least not the way that police officers are trained. Now, could you say the same for Lamarck Jaramillo? Was he just trying to stop somebody at the Chick-fil-A? I don't know. Maybe he thought he was on a mission from God or Buddha or Allah or whoever he happens to worship. Maybe he was trying to stop people from getting those delicious waffle fries. I don't think so. I think he was there to kill people. With malice aforethought and with malice in his heart, he had the knife to do that. And so police officers did exactly what they were supposed to do. The off-duty police officer, who, thank God, he was armed in an off-duty capacity, drew his firearm and issued commands. Drop the knife, drop the weapon, get back. This idiot decides, no, I'm not going to listen to those directives. I'm going to continue on my own path. Well, that path led straight to the morgue. And I got to be honest with you, I love dead criminals because dead criminals don't reoffend. Two places that criminals belong: in jail, prison, and in the graveyard. This guy's not going to reoffend again. Same thing with George Floyd. George Floyd has not reoffended. It's a beautiful thing. Now, some people say, that's insensitive, Keith. How could you possibly say that? Because I despise people who take advantage, who prey upon people that they perceive to be weaker than they are. Now, what does this have to do with Granite State Live? Well, here in New Hampshire, we are a constitutional carry state. You do know that you can get your concealed weapons license. You go down to your local police department. I think it's $10. You get your license in probably 2 or 3 days. In some instances, I've seen some people walk out same day with their concealed weapons license. Beautiful thing. You do not need that here in the Granite State. You can open carry a firearm, conceal carry a firearm, as long as you are not a prohibited person, as long as you're not a habitual drug user, as long as you're not a convicted felon, as long as you are not subject to a marital or domestic restraining order, as long as you are not prohibited under the Lautenberg Act, as long as you have not renounced your citizenship, as long as you have not, let's see, what else, been discharged dishonorably from the United States military, you can buy a firearm. You can carry that firearm. But that is not, and I don't want to use the word privilege because it's a Second Amendment right. The rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But Massachusetts finds it very appropriate to put their citizens, their residents, through a licensing scheme where you have to take a class. Now, I'm all in favor of firearms classes. But if you've taken a Massachusetts LTC or license to carry class, you know what kind of absolute BS that LTC class is. First of all, the people that teach it are not qualified to be teaching mass general law. Number two, half of them couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. But they're more than happy to take your $150 to put you through a BS class that now allows you to genuflect before the altar of progressivism, the Firearms Record Bureau in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and say, Mother, may I? Mother, may I have this piece of paper that allows me to carry a device to protect myself? To protect myself from the very people that you have failed to protect society from. Have you noticed in New Hampshire how we're talking about bail reform? That's become a hot button topic. The idea of preventative detention is to keep offenders locked up pre-trial so they don't go out and reoffend. See, here's the thing. If you want people to stop committing crimes, you have to make it uncomfortable for them to continue in their ways. This is how we disincentivize unwanted behavior. We lock these people up. We throw them in prison. We restrict their ability to go out and do harm. I don't like jail. It's uncomfortable. Good. Don't commit crimes, and you won't wind up there. See, but Massachusetts doesn't believe that criminals should be punished. No, in fact, criminals should be apologized to. And if you happen to get smoked in the process of committing your crime, well, then we'll extend the courtesy of the apology and the condolences to the people that you've left behind. I don't think any condolences should be extended here. In fact, what I think should happen is that the off-duty police officer should submit a bill for the ammunition that he wasted on this scumbag. That's the way you handle criminal justice. But you don't do that in Michelle Wu's Boston. We're going to talk about more gun laws and some of the preemption bills that are coming up both nationally and on the New Hampshire level with New Hampshire Fire